How much money can you make from mining one chunk on the Donut SMP? And let me tell you, the ending was insane. Imagine you're just walking around the server and you find this. Okay, so while I mine through this dirt layer, it's a good time to talk about the Donut SMP economy. Blocks like dirt and stone actually have a lot of value, and surprisingly, this can be really solid money-making method. Many players don't realize even the simplest blocks can be highly profitable. Even people need them for building, trading, or crafting items to sell on the AH. On the server, efficiency is key. Mining a single chunk thoroughly can often be more profitable than digging for bases, since most players' bases are hidden. Even something as basic as dirt can be a part of a profitable farm like kelp. Clearing even basic blocks is instant profit. Every dirt block counts. As I keep clearing this layer, it's worth noting how the SMP's profit-based economy really changes the way players approach mining. Every chunk is essentially a self-contained market opportunity. Even if the layers seem simple, like deep slate or tough, fully mining a chunk ensures you don't miss any potential resources that could be traded later. Many players focus only on ores, but on a server like this, resource control is just as important. Consistently gathering and selling basic blocks can fund more ambitious projects down the line, like farms or automated resource setups. Biome placement is another key factor. Certain biomes naturally produce better ore layouts or more accessible underground structures, which can make a chunk far more profitable than it initially appears. While this layer doesn't contain many high-value ores, clearing it systematically sets me up for success when moving into deeper layers. It also prevents having to backtrack later, which is a huge time saver on a server where efficiency is critical. Something a lot of players overlook is how hidden player activity affects resource value. Since most bases are concealed, trading on the AH and building farms becomes more important than direct raid. Even small blocks can have significant value in sustaining gameplay and funding future mining trips. Sometimes you can even find bases just by paying attention to how a few blocks are placed, like tough or deep slate. Finally, mining this layer is also about data gathering. By clearing it completely, I get a clear picture of the chunk's layout, ore veins, and potential farming opportunities. That information is more valuable than the blocks themselves, especially on a competitive server like the Donut SMP. Now that I'm deep into this chunk, things start to get a lot more interesting. The upper layers were mostly dirt and basic stone, but as we move down, I've already found diamonds and an amethyst geode, which are significantly more valuable when selling on the auction house. On the Donut SMP, knowing which ores to prioritize is key. Almost anything can be traded on the AH. Even blocks like andesite are going for surprisingly high prices right now. You can also start noticing how the chunk layout affects efficiency. Deep slate, for example, is much harder to mine through, so planning your path carefully is important to avoid wasting time or tools. Mining deeper layers also requires thinking ahead. Each resource I collect contributes not only to immediate profit, but also to future projects, whether that's expanding farms, creating redstone contraptions, or trading for higher tier materials. Section thoroughly ensures that when I reach the rare ores, I'm fully prepared and haven't left anything behind. Efficiency isn't just about speed, it's about maximizing value from every block mined. At this depth, the payoff is starting to show. Diamond veins, redstone veins, and even a hint of gold make this chunk feel much more profitable, and it becomes clear why fully clearing a single chunk can be far more lucrative than mining random areas. Alright, now we're at the very bottom of this chunk. Most of the blocks here are bedrock, so this part is really about making sure every block is accounted for and that the chunk is fully clear. Mining carefully here is important. Even though there aren't many ores left, systematically finishing the last blocks ensures nothing is missed and that our data about the chunk is complete. Even blocks that seem basic, stone, diorite, and andesite, still matter. On the AH, players are always looking for building materials, and every block we collect contributes to overall efficiency and future trades. By the time I finish these last blocks, I'll have a complete picture of the chunk's layout and total resources, which is crucial for planning farms, trades, or other projects down the line. It's easy to rush this part, but taking your time guarantees that no value is left behind, and it also shows the payoff of methodical mining compared to running around randomly. One thing I didn't expect when starting this was just how fast the value starts stacking once you fully commit to clearing this chunk. At first it feels slow, mostly stone, deep slate, and the random blocks, but once you actually look at the inventory, It adds up way faster than you think. One thing that makes this challenge harder than it sounds is that on the Donut SMP, you're never really mining alone. At any moment, another player could come into the area, and if they realize what you're doing, this entire chunk could turn into a fight instead of a mining trip. That's part of what makes mining a full chunk risky. You're staying in one place for a long time, which means if someone finds you, they instantly know you probably have a full inventory of valuable blocks. On the server, that's the kind of situation where people lose everything. So while I'm mining, I'm also constantly paying attention to sounds, name tags, and anything that looks out of place. Because one mistake here could mean losing all the profit from this chunk. And the deeper I go, the worse that risk gets. This is also why most players don't actually fully mine chunks, although it can be really profitable. It takes a lot of time, it uses a lot of tools, and if the chunk ends up being bad, you could spend all this effort for almost nothing. Most people would rather run around looking for quick diamonds or trying to find bases because it feels faster. But this problem with that is it's inconsistent. Mining one chunk completely is different because you know exactly how much area you covered and you know you didn't miss anything. It turns mining into something you can actually measure instead of just hoping you get lucky. And that's why I wanted to test this in the first place. At this point, the chunk is finished and everything I got from it is either ordered or in my inventory. All the ores, all the stone, all the random blocks that didn't seem important at the time. It's all going to be counted. Some of this stuff might not look valuable on its own, but on the Donut SMP, almost everything can be sold if the price is right. That means the real profit isn't just diamonds, it's everything combined. This is the moment where we find out if mining one full chunk was actually worth the time, or if I just spent all this effort for nothing. So, how much money did I actually make? We made a grand total of 2,672,369.94 cents. If anyone was wondering, here's all the totals for literally everything.